Esta serie documental presenta la investigación, la experiencia y el ejemplo de vida de hombres y mujeres, activistas de una transformación profunda en la sociedad. Sus mensajes hablan del sentido de la Tierra como sistema integral y señalan un horizonte de conciencia nueva y de mayor sensibilidad. Los invitamos a beber del manantial de sus palabras y así poder escuchar las muy diferentes voces de la Tierra.
Joanna Macy es doctora en filosofía, especializada en budismo, teoría general de los sistemas y ecología profunda. Es además una de las fundadoras de la ecofilosofía y de la ecopsicología. Su trabajo ayuda a las personas a transformar la desesperación y la apatía en acciones constructivas y colaborativas, trayendo una nueva forma de ver el mundo como un cuerpo vivo más grande y liberándonos de los supuestos que ahora amenazan la continuidad de la vida en la Tierra.
When people ask me what I give my life to, it's hard to answer that. It's to life, actually. As a child, my family had grown up, was part of the Christian tradition. I had strong Christian roots, and so I put that, what is the purpose of my life, a little bit in religious terms. Be thankful for the gift of life and to share it. And therefore, if those are some people around me that are suffering, they're poor, that have to go to war, or whose towns are bombed, always an impulse in trying to reach out, and but not out of a solemn religious ethic, but more in gladness. And then that the framing of what I would serve with my life changed when I walked out of a theistic religion, and it took a more scientific bent. And in studying systems theory and the evolution of life, the same kind of awe, the same passionate curiosity of how life manifests was there, but without any window dressing of a religious or spiritual frame. And then I had a taste of working with other people, and that gave me an appetite for solidarity, to be shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm with others, doing something. The excitement of experiencing how people can think together, how people can sing together, how people can serve together, and discovering, and in that, people working together, you find out more about yourself. I wanted to discover how a collective consciousness, a collective intelligence could evolve. So I certainly knew all the different ways that humans have betrayed each other, fought each other, made wars on each other. That's what I was looking for, the arising of that collective intelligence. And so that you have a series now of the Voices of Earth, then you're doing the same thing, I think. How can you be be free, preoccupation with yourself, this separate, isolated ego working with other people. I found it in these very fresh new ways in the Sarvodaya movement. And the name of the movement in Sri Lanka is a second name, Sarvodaya Shramadana. Everyone wakes up Shrama by working together. In my work, and I call it the work that reconnects to bring us back together again. It's like the two great rivers of science on one hand and religion or spirituality on the other hand that have been separated for at least half a millennia, for the last 500 years. It's like pulling the human spirit apart, turning it on each other, fighting each other. And now in our time, they are flowing together. There can be a tremendous resonance, and they can inform each other. And in that is an emergence. So yes, an evolution is possible. And it could be. And we have now the capacity through communication technologies, huge information banks that are available to us, that we can see our planet, from space, that we know that the planet is a living system. And it probably is that the great danger we're in, and just in the last few months, that danger has been stated so clearly by the IPCC, International Panel on Climate Change of the United Nations. And then just this last week, the UN Statement of Scientists on Biodiversity. Our planet is dying. The web of life is shrinking. The seas are huge dead zones in them. And it's so hard for us as a culture to turn around. And you know why it seems it's so hard? It's because these great institutions of the global capitalist corporations are run by, set up, organized, coded to run for maximum profit, not optimum, maximum. Your public relations may talk about the triple bottom line, with profit, but there's social equity and environmental sustainability. But every single time, it's profit that beats the other. That's because that's how it is organized. That's the code that it has to obey. And so it seems like the good guys who would want to, he said, let me talk to the head of the corporation, their hands are tied. They're out. It's like almost like a fairy tale. Or certainly like science fiction, a planet where we can see the dying, we can taste it, we can see it, we can feel it. They're dead zones within ourselves. What we have to do is to give ourselves to what we most truly are. We are our planet. That shift in identity, maybe I could put it another way as I feel it often and see it in people, to let the living earth, to let the collective intelligence, which is almost the same for this, so that we can serve life, speak through us, act through us, dream through us. And I find that the Buddha Dharma, Buddhism, Buddhist practice and Buddhist teachings, very central to that is the recognition that the separate self is just in your head. It's just that lonely cowboy ego running around. It's not who you really are. So you identify with this flow of life inside you. And that feels so good. That is so strong. That is so timeless in a way. That's more real than what your mind's saying. Oh, what are the chances? Oh, do you believe in collapse? How soon did it collapse? All these little voices. Oh, I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. What do you need? What do you need to get? The real flow of life in you is deeper than words or above the words, and we're coming together in service to the earth, or the earth is picking us up and moving forward for the sake of life. Take the more superficial identities and voices away, and in there is one of the truest things in each person is their tears, their grief for what we're doing, for our brother, sister animals, for the air, for the future beings. In the work I do, we make safe spaces, good place where people can not be afraid of speaking the full power of their feelings. So then, speaking our sorrow, then we hear in that's so deep. You know what Thich Nhat Hanh says, the Vietnamese monk? And he said, what we most need to do is to hear within ourselves the sounds of the earth weeping. So I think the earth is crying in each one because we're interconnected. And maybe it's listening to the earth crying inside us that brought forth the decision to have this television program, The Voices of Earth. So that's our hope. I think that's our evolution. More and more voices are speaking of the injustice and the hardship of their life conditions, of their own history. And they can take that and use their suffering like a weapon to say to others, but my suffering is bigger than your suffering. It's used people's genuine suffering to make them hate each other, and you can do it, and that can be very successful. It has been. I see that how people are making common cause even when their sufferings are different, and so there is effort. A term we use in English that called intersectionality, that when we look at something we say it has part of your suffering is the patriarchy. You're a woman and they are trying to control your body, not give you access. So part of it is gender specific. Part of it is racial. It's because of a history of whether it's against the Latinos or the African Americans, or part of it is colonialism of the taking the land from the indigenous people. So there are all these different sufferings that have been used by the colonizers or the dictators or the would-be fascists to turn people against each other. And I've been very moved by, give two examples. One is here in California, where people are deliberately meeting and working together with people of other backgrounds, with people who are very straight, with the queer, with the sexual, great rainbow of identifications. It's beautiful to see, and I guess the term rainbow has been used early, but it's pretty good for that, to bring in, have people work, as I said, with intersectionality, to find what's common, and what is common not just in their past, but what is common in their dreams. What do you want to build in the kind of society we could work for? So that a society that works for everybody. It is possible. We still can grow enough food. We still can work together. Let us not be separated anymore. And in Colombia, where they've had 50 years of war, where they have a population that is taking each other, being pushed out to being removed or pushed or told to fight each other. You've got the FARCs, and you've got the Afro-Colombians, and you've got the indigenous Colombians, and you have the settler farmers. And with the work that reconnects, it was done so smart. You get groups working together where there is a representative, even just in a small group, from each of these different populations. They go through the what we call the spiral, the flow of the work that reconnects. And you speak what you love first. That's the entry point. Every spiritual tradition, it starts with gratitude. Oh, I'm here. What a world. Oh, I've got hands. I've got eyes to see. I've got ears to hear. Oh, I smell this. Oh, taste this. So our capacity to love life is there affirmed right from the start. Even if it's only that I have somebody to love. Then you come and you share the grief. And you honor it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to tell the story of how you saw your mother raped. It's okay. We're humans. We're made. We have the ocean, the salt water in our eyes so we can weep. That's what we're good. We're good at holding each other. We're good at hearing. And we find that the heart, when the heart breaks open, it can hold the whole universe. It can hold everything. And then when we do that, then there's a solidarity that can grow. It's hard to find. Maybe there are many other ways of finding solidarity, but in a screwed up world like this one, being able to speak honestly about your pain, that's really brings you together. You become a different kind of courage. You show a different kind of strength that we need to become a warrior for peace. Beautiful thing. Even harder. It's harder to build peace than make war. But you can do it. You can find that strength. Weave of new kind of solidarity. Just like a web of life is made like that. We can reweave it. I mean, you have a destroyed field, you look, whether you're looking at Mozambique or you're looking at Argentina or you're looking at what's happening to the land, but as the grass grows, it's in separate little blades of grass. And they're just being called for into life. And they don't say, well, I'm going to wait till I see what everyone else is doing. I'll grow if you grow. They don't. They just grow up toward the light because that wanting life is in them. So we cannot wait anymore for the enlightened ruler. We can't wait anymore for the machinery of a would-be democracy to be free of corruption. We have to act anyway, even in a situation that smells. We can't wait till everyone else is pure-hearted. We just have to act for life wherever we are and look at each other with different eyes in the human heart. There is this capacity to care and to see each other with fresh eyes, and you can look at someone and treat them in a way that brings that forward. Okay, I'm going to work with this woman, with that man, with that boy. I'm going to join them. I'm going to share my love for life with them. I'm going to expect them. I'm going to see them with eyes that see their true nature. And you can find strength for that in almost any spiritual path. You don't. I found a lot in the Buddhists, but many Buddhists just like to sit on the zafu, and just to have a peace of mind. But you can find it in the Christians, you can find it in the Jewish people, you can find it in the Sufis, you can find it in Islam, you can certainly find it in the indigenous people. You can find it in your love for the future beings. I learned this from my Tibetan friends, and coming out and looking at the world that we're in. And they are reminded of a very old prophecy. And this prophecy was from the Kalachakra Tantra of 12 centuries ago. But this is the way I heard it. And it's given me much heart. There comes a time when all life on earth is in danger. In this time, great powers have arisen. They're called barbarian powers. And although they waste their wealth in preparations to annihilate each other, they have much in common. And among the things they have in common are weapons of unfathomable devastation and death, and technologies that lay waste to the world with their toxins. And it is just at this time, when the future of all life hangs by the frailest of threads, that the kingdom of Shambhala emerges. Now you cannot go there. It is not a place. It exists in the hearts and minds of the Shambhala warriors. And actually, you can't tell a Shambhala warrior by looking at her or him because they don't have any uniforms. They don't have any banners to spell out their names. They don't have any barricades on which to climb to threaten the enemy. They don't even have any home turf, any land of their own. Always they must negotiate their way through the barbarian-controlled land. And this is the time when they must go into training. Because they are going to enter into the power structures of the barbarian forces. Not only individual to individual, but also they must go into the corridors of power where the decisions are made to dismantle these weapons. In order to do that, they must go into training. But how do they train? They train in the use of two weapons. The motive power to move out to where you need to go, to do what you need to do. And what that boils down to is to not be afraid of the suffering. Do not be afraid of the pain. Because when you act on it, it brings you into the interweaving and the mending of the web of life. But it's very hot, that compassion. It can burn you out to feel that. So you need the other weapon, that insight or wisdom of our inter-existence. Because when you have that, then you know that we belong to each other. That in every cell of our body belongs to our earth from the beginning of time, and that we are brought here now in order to find our interexistence again with each other. This can feel very cool, a little cold and abstract, this weapon. And so that's why you need both of them, the compassion and the insight, or sometimes wisdom, and they dance together.
Distintas voces, matices, percepciones sobre una misma indagación. La complejidad de la vida, la enorme velocidad de los procesos humanos, la vitalidad creativa, el entendimiento abriéndose a múltiples dimensiones, la trama misteriosa de corazones que laten al pulso de la Tierra.
La tecnología hoy es muy útil para muchas cosas. La situación es creer que la tecnología nos va a acercar a la verdad. Es decir, vemos que se puede hacer cosas que antes pertenecían al territorio de la ciencia ficción, claro, y que ahora las hace un niño de 3 años, pero a la vez nos produce la sensación de que se confunde la tecnología con la realidad. O quizás nosotros, los que tenemos cierta edad, no podamos hacer la transformación para adaptarnos a eso.
This simple prophecy, it went right to my heart, and it's there today. But that afternoon, it was getting late. I was with my teacher in this village of Tibet in exile. So we said goodbye, and I ran down the hill to where my family was staying. This time, my whole family, my husband and the 3 children. And so I told the prophecy, and my dear son Jack, he's my neighbor again after all these years, right down there, just 7 blocks. But at any rate, he was in the university then. And he listened, and he said, "But Mom, didn't our teacher tell you how it's going to turn out? Whether we'll be able to save the world?" And I said, No, he didn't. And I'm glad he didn't. Because if he had tried to tell me how this drama is going to turn out, I would have believed none of what he said. And don't you believe, and now I'm talking to all of you, don't you believe anyone who tells you how this is going to turn out. Because it's in that not knowing, it's in that powerful uncertainty right on the razor's edge of this moment that you are fully present and free to do what's needed.
Algunos seres humanos comienzan a sentir la necesidad biológica de estar en armonía con los demás seres vivos y de ayudar a que la inteligencia de la Tierra emerja en cada vez más individuos, de modo que juntos podamos percibir el maravilloso diseño que somos en un todo y parte de la Tierra